guys, welcome back to my channel. So we're going to make this whale today with his little water plume. To do this, you need some sort of a glue water mixture, or you can buy starch. So glue water mixture makes your starch, or you can buy this, which is from Amazon, and it's quick stiffening starch. And then I just used a toilet paper roll cut down to put over so that my plumes hang over the side, and then I just sprayed everything and let it dry overnight. So that's how I did that. So we'll be adding that while we crochet, because it's actually tied in a knot and added underneath as well. So if you have all that ready, let's get started. So I'm going to be doing this project with a 4.5 millimeter. We're going to be doing it in amigurumi style, which means you need a stitch marker, a row counter if you have one. You can actually get these free with your points from Hobby Lobby, or these ones you can buy on Amazon for dirt cheap. The color I'm using, and I think this is just a red heart, this is a it's called Blue Jean is the color. You can use any color you want. This is a 4-weight worsted. So going with normal amigurumi style, this calls for a 5 millimeters, so I'm going down a hook size to a 4.5. Let's jump right into this. Start with a magic ring and 6 single crochets. My cat is doing that because spring is coming and he gets like that. So your next round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch. So after your first stitch, that's where your stitch marker is going to go. Then you can put your second stitch in that same space. So 2 single crochets in the same space all the way around. Everything seems a little dark. I'm gonna turn my light up a little bit. Here, that's a little bit better. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochets and an increase. So it's 1 single crochet, and then your next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space, and repeat, bringing you up to 18 stitches. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochet and an increase, and this will bring you up to 24 stitches, and then I want you to put 1 single crochet in each of the 24 stitches. That's number 1, that's number 2, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. This is going to be his nose down, so let's tighten this. Let's make a knot. Push it all the way down. You don't need to tighten it, like you don't need to pull it tight, because if you do, it might actually slip through. Cut some off and leave a nubby. Angle this down a bit better. So your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase. That's number 1. That's 3 single crochets, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And this will bring you up to 30 stitches. Your next round is going to be 4 single crochet and an increase. This will bring you up to 36 stitches, and then I want you to do 1 single crochet in each of those 36 stitches. That's number 1. That's 4 single crochets, and then your next stitch gets 2 single crochets in the same space for your increase. And repeat. Your next round is going to be 5 single crochets and an increase. That's number 1. That's 5 single crochets, and then your next stitch gets an increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. This brings you up to 42 stitches. Your next round is going to be 6 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring you up to 48 stitches. And then after this, we're going to do 7 rows of 1 single crochet in each of these 48 stitches. That's number 1. That is 6 single crochets, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. Follow my screen prompts, and I will see you on the other side. So this is what you should have at this point. Take your thing and put it at the back. We're going to add eyes. So I just did these little 11 mil eyes. I use the backs just in case I sell these to kids or something. But you can just glue them in if you don't have children that they're going to. So, according to my notes, I put the eyes between the 10th and 11th row. So that would be here and here. And I put a 19 stitches in between. Just make sure it's in the same line. There and there. So then you just kind of have to hold it. You should be able to see 19. Oh, that looks better. Follow it, make sure he's in the same line. I don't know how I miscounted 19, but anyway. Put your bags on. We're going to do the water plume after another few rows is done. We'll do the water plume. So let's continue. We're going to start decreasing now. Your next round is going to be 6 single crochets and a decrease, taking you back down to 42 stitches. That's number 1. That's 6 single crochets and then your decrease. So you're going to go in and pull up a loop. Go into your next stitch, pull up a loop, pull throughout 3. That's a decrease. And repeat. Your next round is going to be 5 single crochets and a decrease. That's number 1. It's 5 single crochets and then your decrease. And repeat. So this will bring you down to 36 stitches. And then you can put 1 single crochet in each of those 36 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. So this is what you should have. At this point, I am going to marker off my loop so I don't lose it. And we are going to add the water plume. So you want this fairly long. You can always cut it down. So just get something that's gonna you can wrap around other than your hand. And then just wrap. I did maybe about 10 times. What's that? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Don't need a whole lot. So, once you get what you want, cut this off. Cut this somewhere. Doesn't matter where you cut it. You just need some long pieces. That one might be a little short. Take my short pieces out. So, we need to figure out where you're putting your plume. I did mine at the 19th row. '19th row, and you're just gonna have to eyeball it. So, I just took a couple at a time. And I pulled it through my hole. You don't have to do this. You certainly aren't obligated. I just thought it was super cute to have a water plume. But you may not like it, and that's fine. 2 more left. So once you got it all through, you're just going to take this and you're going to make a knot to secure it on the inside. So make sure you have this out as long as you want it out. And do extra long because we can cut this later. So make your super duper tight knot. And then you can just cut this off. But leave a tail. Don't cut it all off, because you don't want your knot to come undone. So we'll take care of that business later. It's on there and done, so we can go back to this. And even though I put a marker in there, I still, not sure how that happened. I markered this off and it still, obviously didn't close it. Okie dokie, so now that we got this water plume, your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and a decrease. This will bring you down to 30 stitches, and then you can do 1 single crochet in each of those 30 stitches. That's number 1. That's 4 single crochets, and then your decrease. You can, now that your plume's in, you can start stuffing this anytime you want. So your next round, you can start stuffing this if you want. Your next round, we're gonna start doing some decreases on the one side, but not the other side. Do you know what I mean? So first of all, get your marker in. So we're going to do 8 single crochets. That's number 1. That's 8 single crochets. And then we're going to do 2 single crochet decrease 3 times. So that's once. That's twice. And that's 3 times. And now we're going to do 10 single crochets back to our marker. I'm going to stuff mine a little bit. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch. So when you're done, you can stuff it. I'm gonna stuff mine, then I'm gonna do my 1 single crochet, and I will see you on the other side. Alright, I stuffed mine a little bit. I didn't want to go overboard because it'd be hard to work with. So, your next round is going to be basically the same thing, just with less stitches. So we're going to do 8 single crochets, that's number 1. That's 8. This feels so awkward. So now we're going to do 2 single crochet decrease. We're going to do that 3 times again. That's number 3, and then you should have 7 single crochets back to your marker. You should have 24 stitches at this point. So now for the next 4 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 24 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. So that's my 4 rows. This is what it should look like. I know it looks pretty funny right now. So your next round is going to be weird again. That's number 1. You're going to do 9 single crochets. That's 9 single crochets, and then you're going to do 2 single crochet decrease 2 times. So that's 1, 2, and a decrease once. Oops, I'm stuck on something. 1, 2, and a decrease twice. And then you're going to do 7 single crochets back to your marker. Next row is going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch. You should have 22 stitches. Your next round is going to be 9 single crochets, then our decreases, then 5 single crochets. That's number 1. That's my 9. So I'm back around to the top again, and we're going to do 2 single crochet decrease 2 times. That's 2 single crochet in my decrease once, and then 2 single decrease twice. And then 5 single crochets back to your marker. So your next round is going to be 3 single crochets decrease. This will bring you down to 16 stitches. That's number 1, 2, and 3 single crochets, and then your decrease all the way around. And then your next row after this will be 1 single crochet in each of those 16 stitches. So for the next 2 rows, you're going to do 6 half doubles. So this is how we're going to get the tail to turn up. That's number 1. So that's 6 half doubles, and that's all along the bottom. That's the top. This is all along the bottom, so it's going to make the tail turn up. And now you're going to do 10 single crochets. That was 9. I should have 16 stitches. 2, 4, 6, 8. Oh, that was 10. Sorry, I miscounted. Okay, ignore me. So we're gonna do that again. We're gonna do that for our second round. So 6 half doubles, 10 singles. If you want more curve on your tail, you're just gonna have to do another row or two. I'm going to put some stuffing. A little bit of stuffing in here. I hope you've been stuffing along the way. I didn't feel like I needed to tell you. So that's what decreasing up here did. Instead of decreasing down here so that both of these would go in, I only wanted this to come down. I didn't want this to really move. So that was the whole point of the weird decreasing. So now that we've got the turn in our tail, I'm gonna do, well, I guess I'm still kind of doing it. I'm gonna do 2 half doubles. That's number 1. Oh my gosh. My table's slippery, so it keeps slipping out. There's 2 half doubles. Then I'm gonna do a decrease. I'm right on the top again. So you're gonna, so a half double decrease, you're gonna yarn over, you're gonna go into your first stitch and pull up a loop, you're gonna pull through 2 and stop. You're gonna yarn over, go into your second stitch, pull through 2 and then pull through 3. That's a half double or a double decrease. So now I'm gonna do 2 more half doubles. And then I'm going to do 10 single crochets. So I'm still turning. I am just decreasing while I do it. So I'm still going to get that effect. So your next round, so you should have 15 stitches right now. We're going to go down to 13 stitches. So we're going to do 1 half double. And I'm going to do 2 decreases right in a row. So I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to go into my first stitch, pull up a loop, pull through 2 and stop. Yarn over, go into my second stitch, pull up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 3. And then I'm going to do it again. And then I'm going to do 9 single crochets back to my marker. You need to stuff this, and then we're going to do our 3 rows of just 1 single crochet in each stitch. And then we're just about done the body. So Do your 3 rows of 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and I will see you on the other side. You're really going to notice the curve when you start doing that. So this is what it should look like. So it should really have a nice curve like that. So now I'm just going to decrease 6 times, and then I'm going to cinch it closed. So I'm just going to do single crochet decrease. Doesn't matter if you do it 6 times or not 6 times, just we're going to be doing a cinch close instead of a sew close. So do it as many times as you want. I just say 6 because people like to hear numbers for some reason. So I mean, but you can do it as many times as you want. I don't even know how many times I've done it. I just judge by the size of the hole. So I think that's fine for me. I'm gonna fasten off. So you just need a little bit to cinch with. That's all you need. And to weave a little bit. So make sure you've got this full of stuffing, as much as you want, because we're gonna close her up and you will not have another opportunity. So even if it's about shaping the tail a little bit better, stuffing isn't just about sticking the stuff in there, it's about you know, shaping too. I got a little much in here, but I'm just gonna push it down if I can. Try to get that shape. My turn and my tail's a little crooked, but that's okay. I don't mind. So I'm just gonna grab one piece of yarn. I'm gonna go in and out, in and out, in and out. You don't need any more than this one piece of yarn. And then just pull. You're going to want to secure that cinch. So I would just come across and make a knot. And then wiggle that knot so it tightens right down. And then we can weave. And pull that into place. And then when you weave, you need to go in as close as you can to your tail, so it just looks like a stitch. And do your weaving. I just go in and weave a couple times. It's just a cinch. So no big deal. So that's mine. My tail got turned a little bit in the process, but it's kind of off to the side a little bit like that. So we'll take care of him right at the very end with the cutting and the starching and all that. Let's do the underbelly next. So you're gonna need white, and I'm pretty sure I still use the same hook, the 4.5. So we will do the underbelly next. Get that sewn on, and then the fins and that'll be easier to do. Right, let's get this started. I'm going to turn this ISOs down a bit because of my white. So we're going to start with a chain 21. So I have 20 working chains because my 21st one is on my hook still. So you're going to do one single crochet in each stitch, so it should be 20 starting in the very first one. 20 single crochets all the way back up. So chain 1, turn your work. Now you're looking at the back of it. For the next 3 rows, look at this lovely knot that I have. Isn't that great? For the next 3 rows, that's all you're going to do. Is you're going to do 20 single crochets. You're going to chain 1 and you're going to turn. So far, easy peasy. This is my 3 rows. So that's what you should have. Chain 1 and turn. We are going to decrease in the center and not on the edges. Because normally people would start with decrease right away. We're going to do 9 single crochets. That's 9 single crochets, and then we're going to do a decrease. And then we're going to do 9 single crochets, chain 1 and turn. The reason I chose to do it this way is because this is the look. Whoops, sorry. This is the look that you get. I don't know if camera's not really seeing it. You'll see it once we get going. It gives this. It's a way better look than doing it the other way. It's aesthetically. It's the only reason why I'm doing it is aesthetics. So your next round is just going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch. Make sure you're getting into this first stitch. You're going to need to pull this back. A lot of people will have crooked sides because they think this is the first stitch, but it's not. This is the first stitch. So that'll keep your side straight. And it's same with over here. You got to make sure you get into that turning over stitch to keep your side straight over there. Some people think that this is the last stitch, but this stupid turning over stitch is so difficult to get into. That's how you keep your side straight. Anyway, I digress. 1 single crochet in each stitch. Chain 1, turn your work. We're going to do 9 single crochets. Then your decrease. And now you're going to do, oh, I lost part of my stitch. And then you're going to do 8 single crochets. And then you're going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch in your next row. Your next round is going to be 8 single crochets. Decrease. And then 8 single crochets. And then your next round after that is going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch. So your next round is going to be 8 single crochets. A decrease, and 7 single crochets. Oops. Chain 1, turn your work. 1 single crochet in each stitch. Your next round is going to be 7 single crochets, a decrease, and then 7 single crochets. Chain 1, turn your work. And next row is 1 single crochet in each stitch. Your next round is going to be 7 single crochets, a decrease, and then 6 single crochets. Chain 1, turn your work. Now I want you to do 2 rows of 1 single crochet in each stitch. Next round is going to be 6 single crochets, a decrease, and then 6 single crochets. Chain 1, turn your work. Now we're just decreasing. There's no more 1 single crochet in between. So your next one is going to be 6 single crochets, decrease, and 5 single crochets. Chain 1, turn your work. I had to change my battery. So we just did 6 and 5. This one's going to be 5 single crochets, decrease, and 5 single crochets. Chain 1, turn your work. This time we're going to do 4 single crochets, decrease, and 5 single crochets. Chain 1, turn your work. Now we're going to do 4 single crochets, decrease, and 4 single crochets. Chain 1, turn your work. Now we're going to do 3 single crochets. We're just about done. Decrease, and 4 single crochets. Chain 1, turn your work. You're going to do 5 rows of 1 single crochet in each of these 8 stitches. Then we're going to come back and we're going to do 1 more row just to round it off a little bit, and then we're going to be done. So 5 rows, 8 stitches, should take no time at all, and I'll see you on the other side. So that took no time at all, but this is what you should have so far. So now we're just gonna put a rounded edge on this to finish it off. Do you see what I mean by the pattern you get when you decrease in the middle? It's so much nicer. So chain 1 and turn your work. You can slip stitch, so it gives a bit of a curve on the top. And fasten off from that last stitch. You're going to need a really long sewing tail. Really long sewing tail. I probably got way more than I needed. So, this guy can get tucked away. This is a straggler guy. So I'm going to place mine down this way because of that knot. So the positioning of my underbelly started in the 4th row from my magic ring. Oh. So you're probably going to want to pin this bad boy into place. So, find your exact bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's where I put my, mine wants to roll. Just make sure it's even with the eyes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so that's my 4th row, and that's where I'm starting this part. Don't worry about what's going on the side here. Just worry about where this middle is, and it's on my 4th row. So that puts your corner matched even with your eye on either side. And then this goes down to where the curve starts. So I'm just going to put a couple of pins in there. And that's where I put it. So you can sew this on any way you want. But I would suggest not doing invisible stitches because you still might see it. As far as how I did it, I just went in and out. It's a little more time consuming, but I think it gives a nice clean hold. And so when I come out, I go back into the same stitch, so I'm just moving my yarn is all I'm doing. You're just going to make sure you go back into the same stitch. And then I try not to do too big of stitches over here because you will see that they're big stitches. So that's how I sewed my last one on. That's how I'm going to sew this one on. So I will see you on the other side. So I've come back full circle. All I did for weaving was just kind of went down into the doll and weaved that way. But I did grab doll while I was doing it, just for added safety measure. That's all I did. Then if you pull too hard, you can just pop this back out. That is that for the underbelly. So I hope yours looks good. Mine does. So let's move on to the tail fin. Get something on the back of this bad boy. So you're going to need your blue again. Move my pins out of the way. So this time you're going to do a magic ring and you're going to do 4 single crochets. You don't need to pull this too super tight right now. We can pull it later. I know it can be difficult. So you're going to do 1 single crochet and an increase. So you can use your stitch marker if you want. It goes in right now after this stitch. I only have 4 stitches, so I'm just going to do it twice. So that's 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, and then repeat one more time. 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets. So you can flip this around before it gets too difficult to flip around. And this is where you can pull your middle tight. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. And again, you're only going to do that 2 times. So that's 1, 2 single crochets, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. One more time. 1, 1, 2. So now we're working with something a little bit bigger. We've got 8 stitches now. We're going to do a 3 single crochet increase to give us 10 stitches. So again, you're just going to do this twice. 1, 2, 3 single crochets, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. One more time. 1, 2, 3, and your increase of 2 in the same space. There, now you got 10 stitches. Now we can do 1 single crochet in each stitch, making sure we have 10 stitches. Let's put our stitch marker here. And I have 10 stitches. Woohoo! So we wanted this nice point on the end. This is why I just made you go through all that. Just to put a nice point on the end of it. So I'm just going to stick my middle stuff, my middle crap down there. And so we're going to keep increasing. We're going to do 4 single crochets and an increase. You can use your stitch marker, but again, we're just doing it twice. 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets and an increase of 2 single crochets in the same space, and again 4 single crochets and your increase. You should have 12 stitches. Now we're going to do 5. Goes way faster when you don't use a marker. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then your increase. One more time. That's 5, and then my increase. So now you should have 14. So this is where I get weird, because it's a fin and it needs to be a certain shape. So let me go down to my pattern. So I need to do 5 half doubles and 9 singles. And again, that's just going to help it turn. So you can put your stitch marker in if you want to keep track. Now that I've just taught you how to not use your stitch marker. Which I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't use mine very often when I'm not on camera. That's 1 half double, that's number 1. We're going to do 5. Wait, let me reread that. Yeah, we're going to do 5. That's my 5 half doubles, so now I'm going to do 9 singles. That's 9, and do it again for your second row. 5 half doubles. That's 5 half doubles and then 9 singles. The reason I didn't use my marker there is because I used my marker just to make sure I had the right amount of stitches, and when I knew that, then I knew I didn't need to use my marker. So this next row is just going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch around, or next 2 rows, sorry, the next 2 rows is going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch around. You still have 14 stitches. So you can stuff this too. So you see this turn that made? That's what we wanted, that is a turn, because that's what I felt the shape was. Anyway, your last row is going to be 5 single crochets and a decrease. That's 1. That's 5 single crochets and then your decrease. And repeat one more time. Five single crochets and then your decrease. So we can fasten off. We're going to sew this open. And I didn't stuff mine, but you can stuff yours if you want. I didn't stuff mine. So you need a sewing tail. I sewed it on open just because it looked better. So I put my pattern on the screen so you can go make your second fin, and then I'll see you on the other side. So I got both mine done. I'm sewing mine on open, like I already said. I'm going to come into this next stitch though, and I'm going to pull this through. Just because it just gives a better look. I just turned my light up so you can see better. I'm not on white anymore, so these are the tail ones. So I sewed mine on open. So you can do it either way. So the turn would put that up like that. If you turn it around, it puts it down like that. I think I'm going to put mine up like that. So how I want you to sew these on are literally with these two ends touching. So that's with the turn up. And then if you sewed them on like with the turn down, they still stick up, but they just look funny. So I'm going to sew mine on with the turny part down here. I just think it looks better. However, my whole tail's crooked anyway, so it's still going to look funny. But so that's how I'm going to sew mine on. These are not the easiest things to sew on. I would suggest pins, but it's completely up to you. Every single time it goes through and stabs me. But I just found it was easier to sew open. So you can do this a number of ways. You can do invisible stitches. So go in and grab some yarn. It doesn't have to be a whole pile of yarn. Come up through the stitch. So when you pull up, it sucks that right down underneath. Or you can do it the same way as sew it on the belly. Let's just in and out, back through the thing. Either way, make sure your point stays here, because it will move around a lot. It's very difficult to sew on. So I do mine a number of different ways because I don't sew well, so whatever I can manage to get done is how I do it. So once I come back around, I'm going to go back down. And I'm just going to leave this hanging because I'm going to use this later with my other fin. So you just have to keep pulling your thing back up when it gets. You can control how curvy you want it. So I'm going to get this sewn on and I'll come back and show you why I kept my line from my other one. So I'm back around. I'm going to go down and I'm going to pop out, if I can manage. I'm going to go down and pop out the same hole as my last one. Because I want to tie these two in a knot. make it a double. So once you got your double knot, and scissors at some point, cut this off but leave a nubby. And we're gonna just jam this down. That's why it has to be the same hole. So you're gonna jam that down into the stuffing. And that way, nobody can really tear off your tail. So now you can change, I mean, you can move your stuffing around now that everything's all jacked up from sewing. You can move your stuffing around and you can, so that's what my tail looks like after it's all said and done, sewn on. Mine's sideways, so if you, let me raise this so you can see. So this is how my thing sits. This is where my plume is. You can see my eyes, and then my tail's all cockeyed. But that's okay, because it's quirky and it's fun and I love it. I actually like it better like this than my other one. Anyway, I'm not sure how that even happened, but it happened. And I absolutely think he's adorable. We're going to do the side fins here and here. And then we'll take care of this business up here. And then we'll be done. Super fun. There's a lot to this fin, but it goes really, really fast. But there's a lot of... I mean, there are 13 rounds, but it goes really fast. So you're going to make a magic ring, and you're going to put 4 single crochets in that magic ring. As difficult as this is going to be, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each stitch, so you're just going to do 4 again. I wouldn't bother with a stitch marker because that's just a lot of business going on in one small space. Although it is difficult to see your stitches, but I mean, if you're an avid crocheter, you're going to know where they are. If you're not, then you might want to use a stitch marker. Or just count to 4. I don't think it's going to make a big difference if you screw anything up. So do your best to turn it right side in. I have flat ends, but if you have round ends, you might be able to make this work better. I like to stick my end in and then pull my middle just to tighten it up a little bit. It's easier for me. I am going to cut this off a little bit because it's going to drive me batty. So now we're going to do 1 single crochet increase, which is what normally we would have been doing before. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches. They're very hard to see where they are because everything is so small. But you're going to do this twice. So 1 single crochet and an increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. I don't do small things well, so bear with my crocheting skills. 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets. So I need the point to turn slightly because that's the shape of a whale's fin. So this round is going to be 3 half doubles and 3, because you should have 6 stitches, so 3 half doubles and 3 singles to make the turn. We're only doing this once. So 3 half doubles. And then 3 singles. So I'm going to jam my little tail down in there maybe before we move on, just to make my life easier. So now you're going to do 2 single crochets and an increase. If you're not using a marker, you're going to do it twice. 1, 2 single crochets, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space, and do it one more time. 2 single crochets and your increase. So you should have 8 stitches at this point. So everything that I'm going to tell you to do, if you're not going to use your marker, you're doing it twice. You're not doing it any more than that, just twice. So your next row is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase. If you don't trust yourself, then use a marker. I've been crocheting for years, so I trust that I'm getting it right, even though I do still make a lot of mistakes. Hence my crooked tail. So you should have 10 stitches at this point if you wanted to check. Your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and an increase. The reason I chose not to use a marker in all of this is because we're just going out 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and it's just too small and too big of a pain in the butt when it goes so much faster without a marker. Your next round is going to be 5 single crochets and an increase. Your next round is going to be 6 single crochets and an increase, so this will bring you up to 16 stitches. So if you want to check while you're doing it, then I'll tell you what I do. I'll do what I do in my head for the next round. That way you don't have to stop and go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. You can just count while you're doing it. So I'll do mine out loud for the next round. Next round is going to be 7 single crochets and an increase. So you're going to do that twice, but this is how I do it in my head, just so I don't have to count my stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My increase is 8 and 9. And then 9 plus 7 is 16. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and then my increase, 17 and 18. So that's 18 stitches. 7 and 7 is 14. The increase is 2 in each stitch, so that's 4. So 14 plus 4 is 18. So that's how I do the math that way. But you may find an easier way to do it. Your next round is going to be 8 single crochets and an increase. This will bring you up to 20 stitches. Your next round is going to be 9 single crochets and an increase. We're just about done. Next round is going to be 10 single crochets and an increase. Your very last round is 1 single crochet in each stitch around. You should have 24 stitches. That is it. You can go into your next stitch and get fastened off with the sewing tail. We're going to sew this open as well. And, or, I mean, it's up to you. I'm going to sew mine open, and I'm not stuffing these ones either. So I'm going to go into my next stitch, and I'm going to pull through. So go ahead and make your second one. I'll put my pattern on the screen, and I will see you on the other side. Alright, I got both of mine done. When you sew these on, this part where it turns slightly that we did, it goes away from the head on a regular wale. So I actually sewed, you're going to have to come up a little bit so you can get a needle in there, but I actually sewed just right along. Like I left that much of a space. Turn my light up a little bit. I left that much of a space when I sewed, and I'm down about 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's where I sewed mine on. My last one, I'm pretty sure. No, actually, I might have went down a little bit further. I think I'm down here. Oh yeah, I'm down here. Sorry, I lied. I remember staring at the picture of the whale for so long before I could figure out where to put the thing. You can look at your own whale picture. I had pins. Where did they go? I must have put them away. So you can look at your own whale picture, but yeah, mine are way down here. Just make sure that this is facing, it swoops this way, because that's how it is. So, yeah, sewing this on camera is probably going to be difficult. Actually, lining them up was difficult. That's why I specifically went by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I may be between 5 and 6 here. That's how far down I am. But, I mean, wherever yours is, you're just going to have to use your belly to count. I did that with my last one, and I was still off a little bit. So again, you can sew this on any way you want to. My battery's going to die, so I'm just going to keep sewing until my battery dies. Alright, so I've got my fins on. Oh yeah, I got to change my battery. Okay, so I got my fins on, and this battery's dead too. Alright. We've got to deal with this guy. I got to turn my ISOs down. So now we have to deal with this fella here. So, you're going to think I'm nuts. I'm sure you already think I'm nuts. I'm just going to do this until my battery dies. Turning my ISOs up so high is what kills my batteries. So you're going to want to pin this paper towel thing in place, but you need to make sure you're in the middle of your head. And then you can just pin it. I already have like little pin spots where mine was. Just make sure it's where you want it to be when you pin it. So now you can cut whatever length you want for your water spouts. So figure out how long you want these and then cut them. Get them into position. If you're using spray starch, if you're not using spray starch, you're using glue and water, then you're just going to have to dip them. But anyway, get your stuff all into position where it should be. And you're going to want it to hang over like this. Do you know what I mean? You're going to be able to move this. You're going to just soak this like that. And then you're going to want to do the outside. Soak your pieces here and your pieces here. So once everything's nice and wet, it should not stick to the cardboard, so don't worry about what it's doing right now. It should not, it'll be sticky, but you'll be able to unstick it. Like, it's not going to be that sticky. So now, once everything is soaked, put your stuff into place where you want it again, because it would have moved. And don't worry about this down here leaking out a little bit. You can wipe that off if you want, but you can just wash this with water after. It shouldn't be hard. My other one wasn't hard. I got it all over the place. Your hands are going to be sticky, but... And then this just sits and dries overnight. Oh yeah, I forgot. I took each one of these. Oh, I'm such an idiot. And I unraveled them before I sprayed them. I forgot to mention that before we sprayed them. But I unraveled all of these. That's why it looks so funny. I'm thinking, why does this not look the same? You ever have one of those days? Anyway, I'm going to unravel mine right now off camera. We'll let it set up overnight and see how it turned out. Alright, the next day, I let this dry overnight. So I just take it off, and this is what I have, my water plume. I think my other one turned out better because I remembered to actually pull the things apart. There's my first one. I did. So that's not, it's not the greatest, but it's not horrible either. So there we have it. Our two whales all done. Thanks for joining me, guys. I'll see you in the next video.